And Coach, if you could talk about the exciting last-minute triumph from this past weekend at Delaware State.
Just like we drew it up. No, man. It was outstanding. Outstanding atmosphere. It was electrifying. Their crowd really came out. It was a packed house. I had an opportunity to see a bunch of my former players that I coached. I coached at Delaware State from 99 to 2003. So I saw probably 30, 40 guys, former players that I had opportunity to coach. And for you to see those guys 20, 23 years later, grown up now, and guys that you weren't sure were going to make it and how they were going to pan out. But to see those guys now with families and jobs and doing well is really a reason why we do this. And it was just good to see that. As far as the game is concerned, we knew Delaware State was going to be a tough opponent. They were a very physical football team. And we knew it was going to be one of those knockdown, drag-out type of games. Offensively, I thought we played a little better this week. We still had, turned the ball over, which I wasn't pleased with. But our playmakers, stepped up and made some plays. And defensively, I thought other than 2 trick plays that we gave up, I was disappointed by that. But overall, defensively, I thought we played much better. And we won the kicking game. And that was an area I was concerned with because I thought they had a very good special teams game plan. They were very well coached. But a hard-fought game. It took all 60 minutes of it for us to come home with that W. But I was really pleased with the guys' performance, and I was very proud of them.
And towards the end of the game, you just kind of had a feeling that once the Eagles got the ball back, that you needed to score, right? I mean, it was that drive or nothing. What was the message that you had to the offense at that time?
Right. Well, it started with the defense. Defense had to go out and get a stop. And I told those guys, and I said, guys, listen, we got to get a stop right here. We got to get a 3-and-out. If we get a 3-and-out, we'll win this football game. And the defense got to stop. Went to the special teams in the huddle before we went for the punt return. I told them, guys, no penalties. Let's pop this one. And we had a huge, I think probably about 25, 30-yard return in the kicking game, and then followed up with the offense taking the field. And I believe in those guys. And we talk about being great, and it starts with belief. And I knew when the defense got that stop that we were going to win that football game. And the guys executed. We thought we had the matchup with EJ and their safety. And we got the ball in EJ's hands, and you made a couple guys miss. Quentin McCall had a huge block. Guys understand their role, their assignment on plays. He had a huge block, which led to EJ, scoring. So very happy, very pleased with the win, and on to the next one.
Very good. Thank you, Coach. With that, we'll open it up to questions. And our first question is from Shemai Cook. Go ahead, Shemai.
You talked about in your introduction turnovers. Can you talk about how you guys are dealing with that in the locker room, in the playbook, in the huddle? Can you talk about that? Because Davius has been turning over the ball quite frequently lately in MEAC play.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks weren't 2 of his better performances. I thought one, the receiver was open, the first one. He was wide open, it was right read. He just made the throw late. And the safety came from backside, and it was a heck of a play, and came and picked it off. The second one was just a flat-out bad read. But, we Coach Leone, the offensive coordinator, he harps on it all the time. And Davius, he was upset. He was disappointed with himself with that decision. And after the game, he apologized to both offense and defense and team for putting us in that situation. But he's still that dude that's gotten to us to this point. So, everybody makes mistakes here and there. We just need to limit them. But he's still that man.
When you look into the running game, you guys are, I think, in my opinion, and the numbers don't lie, that, you guys have the best rushing attack in the MEAC. You guys had over almost 200 yards rushing. Can you talk about how that has been helping your offense move forward in the MEAC play?
Definitely, and it starts with the run. You have to be able to run the football. And that's one thing about our conference is, it's not all glitz and glamour. This is a blue-collar conference. You've got to be able to run the football, and that's why I think we've had so much success out of the conference. But it starts with O-line. Like I say every week, those guys continue to mature and get better. We did have a starter out, so that kind of we had to make some adjustments with our offensive line this past week with the starting lineup. But it's a team effort. You know, when people want to load the box and put that extra defender in the box, now they have to cover Andrew Smith, Devin Smith, Quentin McCall, E.J. Hicks, and Tyler Barnes, and the rest of these guys. So they can pick their poison.
How are you going to keep your guys focused, you know, with all the homecoming shenanigans going on campus for going into Howard?
I mean, it's shenanigans. You know, this is the week, like, leaders have to lead. Our seniors, you know, it's going to be more than just Coach Oliver saying X, Y, and Z to coaches. You know, I talk about being good teammates and good people all the time. So guys are going to have to help police themselves. I think that they should, as a college student, should be able to enjoy some of the festivities. So I told them, you know, it's about moderation. You know, Monday, Tuesday night, Wednesday, yeah, you know, go see something, step show, or whatever they got going on, comedy show. Enjoy it, you know, but we don't need to be hanging out till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, after Wednesday night, we need to go ahead and shut it down, start getting rest, and getting ready to play a football game. But homecoming is for the alumni. So I'd love for them to enjoy the homecoming and get the whole experience once they graduate and they come back.
What's the one thing you're looking for in Howard? What did you see that you want to take a tack on film?
I wish it was just one thing. They got 3 running backs. Edgerrin James' son is one of them, and he looks like a chip off the old block. He's unbelievable. Their offensive line is another huge offensive line. It's probably the best one we will see this year. They're not just huge. They move really well. And then their quarterback, Quentin Williams, that's where it all starts. So it's kind of like looking in the mirror. You know, they have good players at the skill positions as well as the O-line and quarterbacks and running backs. So, you know, it's like kind of like looking in the mirror at our football team. So we have to be sound across the board.
All right, our next question is from Lawrence Davis. Go ahead, Lawrence.
Howard is a pretty pass-heavy team. As a former DB, are you excited when your team faces, you know, good quarterbacks and has to challenge your DBs? You know, is that kind of a thing that kind of excites you a little bit?
They really have a balanced attack, and I think they're like us. Like I said, they take what you give them. And you know, some teams that are a little more pass happy, to me, is a little bit easier to defend. You know, I think you have to be able to run to win games. I don't think you can throw the ball around for 300 yards and only have 50, 60 yards rushing to go win a game. But you know I do not want to see any good quarterback, to answer your question, because that's where it starts. So, but this guy, he can hurt you with his legs as well as his arm. You know, but like I say, you got to stop the run first and foremost. And then from there, you know, we can try to make it a one-dimensional game.
And then your special teams has really stepped up over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Can you kind of talk about how guys like Adrian and Juan have grown over this, you know, over this season?
They've worked these last 2 weeks. You know, we missed them. I didn't think we played well in the kicking game the last 2 weeks. And, you know, it's testament to those guys, you know, trying to work hard and work on their craft every day. Like we talked about, points are premium, and Adrian made his kicks this week. I thought Juan played well. He punted the ball well. He placed the ball, did a great job placing the ball on punts and kickoffs. And then, you know, Juan made a game-saving tackle now at the last one. You know, we kicked the ball off. They lose in the sun. It's bouncing around. And I'm thinking we're about to pin him inside their 20. The guy picks it up and gets out the back gate, side door on us, and he's running. So Juan got him down. And that was a big play. But across the board with our special teams units, I thought they played really well, both in coverage and in return games this past week.
I felt like your even temperature mentality was really on display against Delaware State. You know, things kind of was up and down, but guys kind of stayed even keel. How do you, you know, maintain that heading into this week with it also being homecoming and a chance to take first place in the MEAC this week?
I mean, you have to be able to control your emotions. I think if you get overly, you know, too emotional and get too high, you'll make bad decisions. I think with anything in life, if you get too low, same thing. So, you know, you have to be even keeled, especially, you know, during adverse times. You can't panic. You know, you can't, you know, score a touchdown. You know, we still have to look ahead and look at the next situation. So when our offense was going down about the score, we were talking to defense about 2-minute situations and making sure we had the right personnel together and what to look for, how many timeouts the other team had and all that stuff. So you have to stay in the moment, and you can't, like we talked about, thermostat mentality. You can't get too high, can't get too low.
Gotcha. And actually, I do have one more question. How does homecoming differ as a, you know, a player and a student, and, you know, as opposed to being a coach now? You know, what excites you now as opposed to when you were a student here?
Nothing at all excites me to coach in this game. You can't have any fun. You can't enjoy anything all these people coming back in town. You can't hang out with them. There's so much stuff going on, man, that you miss out. And I've been coaching for 20-some years, and I have not truly been able to enjoy one homecoming. But I will enjoy roughly, 2 to 5 during the game?
Yeah.
That's my enjoyment right there. So after the game, you're so exhausted, you're so tired, all you're looking for is a fish sandwich or something and somewhere to sit down and relax for a minute. And next thing you know, it's time to get up and, be back in the office Sunday morning about 8.
Coach, there's a lot being made about Howard's offense, obviously. And this weekend, the top 2 offenses in the league go head to head. But what have you seen out of Howard defensively?
I think their defensive line, they get after it. They're strong and athletic. They have a safety that's really good. Kenny Gallup. I think he leads the conference in tackles. And, they don't give up a lot of cheap stuff. So they make you work for it. They're not going to let you beat them over the top in the passing game. So, they're disciplined in what they do. They're sound in what they do. And they play hard. So we're going to have to come to play and play well this week. I'm expecting the offense to have one of those performances they had in the early part of the season. It would be nothing better than have one of those 45-point games this week. I would love to see that. I don't know if we're going to get it, but I would love to see that.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Devin Smith? He's going to be coming up next, sophomore wide receiver from out of Durham, and is one of the leaders in the league this year as a sophomore in catches. So can you talk about Devin and his performance and what he means to the program?
Oh man, he's Devin and I. We have a close relationship. He and his mother and I went to school here together, and she was 1 or 2 years older than me, but she was like a big sister to me. It was a great family. Love him to death. Devin has been, what we talk about in our program with great people, great young men. He does an outstanding job, not just in the classroom, but he's all in the community with our community service projects. He's always the first one volunteering or trying to go to a school to talk to somebody. But he's a blessing to have in the program athletically. He can make plays all across the field, jump balls, shallow crossing routes. He can get past you, run. He's a great route runner. He can do it all. And it's a blessing to have him on the team. And we just need about 2 or 3 more of them like him. Let's
take a look back to Saturday and talk about that big win at Delaware.
It was a huge win. All phases of the game came into play. Like Coach Oliver said, the kicking game, offense and defense, we all locked in and knew that this was a big game we had to win. Not only is it a big game, but it's because it was the next one. One of our goals when we go to practice day in and day out is just stack days. So, one of the acronyms we go by is win. So what's important now? What was important now was winning that game.
And I asked Coach about that last drive where essentially it's one of those situations where if you don't score, you probably lose the game. What was that like? Were there any special conversations that took place before? What was the feeling? Can you just explain that final drive?
It definitely was a butterfly feeling, I would say, in a lot of guys' stomachs. It was definitely that if we don't make this play, it could be the end, But one thing I can say that was said on the sideline was Coach Oliver had told the defense before they went out, if y'all get this stop right now, offense will come out and score, guaranteed. So defense went out there, played a heck of a drive, and got them boys out the field. Offense came, Pee Wee got in the huddle and said, let's put this drive together, let's put it in the box, let's go home. We're going to have 2 homecomings. So that's exactly what we did. We put everything on Pee Wee's shoulders, and he prevailed. We ride behind Pee Wee everywhere we go. That's the head man of the offense, the leader. So we trust fully in Pee Wee.
And where does that confidence in the offense come from? I mean, it really feels like you guys, every time you take the field, you feel like you're going to score. Where does that come from?
It comes from the preparation we had in the summer, and I would say the days that don't count when it comes to working out, like on our off time. We spend a lot of time together off the field, whether that's with the community or getting extra work in or running camps or stuff like that. We build those connections to make it easier on the field, And another thing I would say is the communication that we have amongst each other regarding the offense. We all have different terminologies, and we all know what makes us click when it comes to certain plays and certain things, certain atmospheres. We know what to say to each other to get us going. We know what to do or what to say to lift us up or to keep us pushing. So that's one thing I would say is our connection, communication between the offensive guys.
Our first question from the media is from Shemai Cook. Go ahead, Shemai.
You are off to a great start this season. You have 27 receptions, 320 yards, 5 TDs. Can you talk about like how that your preparation? I know you just talked about your preparation with Pee Wee, but can you talk about your preparation about like just yourself going into the season?
Yeah, sure. One thing that I pride myself on is just taking the time to do the little things right. Being part of a D1 program and being a part of a strong conference like the MEAC, you can get lost in the sauce when it comes to certain things. One thing I do pride myself again is the little things. So we go out to practice. I run my routes at a certain depth. I catch the ball with certain hand placement. I look eye to the tuck. I work on the little things that will, ultimately help me in big games. So one thing that helped me in my preparation is just the working on the little things, because the little things what matter. You can't forget your bases or what helps you get to where you are now. So that's one of my deals.
And can you talk about how you stay focused outside of the locker room and all the hype?
One thing I want to revert back to is the acronym that Coach Leone uses, the win. What's important now? Like you said, homecoming is coming up, so there's gonna be a lot of shenanigans going on. But one thing that our guys, is very, very, very good at is knowing when to put something aside for the bigger picture. Like Coach said, homecoming is for alumni, and I wholeheartedly believe that too. You can come back after you graduate and enjoy all the homecoming festivities you want. But right now, you in school, you're a student athlete, get your studies right, go to practice, and come out and win this game. You got to worry about what's important now. You got to win. So one thing I do say about my team is that they do focus pretty hard when their mind is set on a certain goal.
Can you talk about what you're looking at on the coverage of Howard going into this game?
Oh yeah, so one thing Coach Oliver did say, they do have a physical defense, physical D line. The safety he's talking about, he's pretty good, so we definitely have to bring our A game. Howard has a very good team this year, very good squad, very coachable, very disciplined. They're going to be where they need to be, and it's not going to be about them though. It's going to be about us. We have to lock in and do our part day in and day out, watching film, going to practice, going to class. Knowing what to say no to, because it's homecoming week, it's a lot of stuff going on. So we just got to worry about us and do our part.
All right. Our next question is from Lawrence Davis. Go ahead, Lawrence.
I know they got some pretty physical DBs over at Howard. But you guys are dogs over on that receiving core as well. How do you deal with guys that love to press and be physical with you guys?
We love it, man. We love aggressive DBs. Coach Ben, our receiver coach, prides us on working on our hand-to-hand combat stuff when it comes to physical DBs and knowing what to do when they do certain things or use certain techniques when it comes to them being physical and they're pressing. But we accept everything that comes regarding DBs. They play off, they play press, no matter what it is. We accept it, and we always prepare day in and day out for different situations like that. Like you said, the Howard DBs are very physical. They like to press, and we prepare day in, day out for stuff like that.
Gotcha. Going back to the receiving room, how do guys like EJ, Trei, Joaquin, how do those guys kind of push you every day to be a better receiver?
Man, we all push each other, bro. Like it's definitely a different family camaraderie environment in that receiver room. Like those are my guys. Like they can call me any time of the night, any time in the morning, no matter what it is. They need something, I'm there, and it's vice versa. It's just that brotherhood and that bond that we have makes things easier on the field. It makes it easier for communication, and it makes it fun too. Just knowing that the guy beside me lined up, getting ready to run a route and catch a touchdown, catch a first down, catch any pass. That's my brother. That's my teammate. Like I love that dude. So those guys, we definitely push each other day in and day out when it comes to everything. Like all the small stuff that like I said earlier about the small details, like running the route to a certain depth, catching the ball with a certain hands. Like we're not afraid to coach each other. Like we know like what we're saying is going to help us get better and do what we have to do come Saturday. So one thing about that receiver room, we're a brotherhood. We love each other and we love what we do.
Growing up in Durham, how did you kind of view Central? And then now that you're attending Central, how do you view it? You know what I mean?
It's crazy. It's crazy how the world revolves, man. I'm a 4th generational Eagle, so I've been around North Carolina Central all my life, man. So it's kind of crazy, like just being able to walk around on campus and actually have like a EOL thing. I can go log into Blackboard and do my work now. It's crazy. I'm part of the team. I'm on the roster. Just looking back to when I was knee high to a curb, coming to the games and going to the homecoming festivities with my family, my grandfather and stuff like that. And then actually being a part of those festivities and games, actually playing in front of them, it's so mind blowing. It's so opening, but it's also a blessing too, just to be able to perform and play for my family and play for my Eagles that's in my family, like showing them that, the legacy continues as I'm a 4th generational Eagle.
I respect that. And then last question, how with this weekend's game being homecoming and also a chance to be first place, how do you guys kind of stay, even focused and and kind of stay locked in this week, making sure that nothing stupid happens or that you guys are fully prepped to make sure that you kind of capture your goals?
One thing we do is we stack days. We stack days on top of good days. Practices, we come out focused. One thing Coach emphasizes when it comes to practice is starting fast and finishing fast, and starting strong and finishing strong. That's one thing that Coach definitely emphasizes during practice. And also just reverting back to what I said, just remembering the big picture. It's homecoming. It's a lot of stuff going on, but like Coach said, homecoming from alumni, you're gonna have plenty of time in the world to come back and enjoy homecoming. But right now, we got a game to win. Like Coach said, you can go to a few events here and there, but when it's time to lock in, it's time to lock in. And all the guys are on board with that, and it's definitely going to be exciting, And one thing I can't say about my guys is that I love the attention to detail they have when it comes to certain things that Coach asks of us. It's not a lot of rebuttal. It's not a lot of, oh, Coach, come on. It's homecoming. It's, yes, sir. We with you. We behind you. You tell us not to do this, we're not going to do it. You tell us to sit down somewhere and chill, rest, watch film, get in some extra catches, some extra routes. We're going to do it. Like, that's one thing about my team that I can't applaud them for, is just locking in when it's time to lock in and not having no rebuttal and no back talk to what Coach has said.
Devin, you mentioned you're a 4th generation Eagle, so I'm sure there was a lot of pressure on you to attend NCCU, but when did you actually make that decision to attend NCCU?
I actually made that decision to attend North Carolina Central after my official visit I took in January. I was with a couple of former players now, and they were just basically just giving me rounds around campus, even though I kind of already knew the campus because I'm from the area, but like it was actually kind of different actually being with the actual student athlete, and being around the environment and other students on campus and getting their insight and their perspective of how things are operating on campus. And I also fell in love with the criminal justice department. I'm a criminal justice major myself, and they have one of the best, in my opinion, the best criminal justice departments in the country. And that's one of the things that got me too, was the criminal justice department. And like I said, me being from Durham, actually coming in and being around those students, like I said, it just changed my perspective a little bit, and I'm home. There's nothing better than home. Like, I can go home and get a home cooked meal or something. My family can come watch me. I don't have to go too far. It's really a blessing.
And my last question for you is, what's your favorite part of being an NCCU Eagle?
My favorite part of being an NCCU Eagle is knowing that no matter how far I go away from my family, I'm always going to be tied to them when it comes to being an Eagle. We all going to have those degrees saying North Carolina Central University. No matter how far I go, no matter where my occupation or no matter how far my football career goes, I always be tied to them regarding North Carolina Central. North Carolina Central brings my family together. And another thing about being an Eagle is just being able to put on for my family when it comes to like my talents on the football field. Like that's always been one of my dreams, just to perform for my family. televised or in person when it comes to football and at the games. You know, I always wanted that to happen, just for them to sit back and relax and know like all the sacrifices that they've made and they continue to make is paying off.